we promote non-oil exports, and like I said, Nigerian businesses are already doing a whole lot in terms of exporting in the region, not only in Ecowas region, also in Africa. And I'm proud to also say that in 2025, we had Nigeria exported non-oil products to 11 countries of Ecowas countries, and we had about 1.23 million metric tons of products exported within the Ecowas region, and about $271 million US. And then beyond that, even within the African countries, we exported to additional 25 countries and bringing it to 36 countries from Africa that we exported to. And the good thing is that we're seeing massive growth in this area, in different areas, in fashion, in cosmetics, in spices, just name it. And that is a very good plan. But speaking to the strategies, I always start by saying education, 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 and capacity building. So we need to also equip. The first strategy in my own view is to first of all equip our exporters with the tools, the skills, and the technical capacity that they need to be able to enlist themselves in the export value chain, the MSMEs, the women, the youth. So there's a lot of capacity building in different areas in terms of export mentorship, in terms of documentation, bringing them to export readiness, even in good agricultural practice, just to bring them together and be able to equip them with those tools so that they will also know what is happening. Then again, creating that, having that awareness and sensitization to the opportunities and the potential that are inherent in the West African sub-region, and by extension, talking about AFCFTA, the whole African continent. So that education, awareness, and sensitization is very key, which Nigerian Export Promotion has done, Promotion Council has done. Last year, we had about 728 programs, capacity building programs across the 36 states of the Federation, leveraging on our 36 state offices and 6 regional offices. The second strategy is value addition. We all know that as African continent or as countries within West Africa, exporting raw commodities will only give us meager amount. So we are not able to earn the premium pricing in the global market. So value addition, light manufacturing, adding value to our products is very, very key. And that is what we're also preaching. That is strategy to be able to also enter into niche markets. Our exporters to be able to enter niche markets and be able to expose their products in the market. Then another strategy, which is very key and very critical, is to compliance with global standards, international standards and quality. And to that extent, we need to be able to get international certification for our exporters. Nigerian Export Promotion Council has said we were able to handle 210 exporters. We gave them international certification, halal, HSCCP, FTA. So we need to keep to standards, because if you don't keep to standards, no country buys quality products that are of less quality. And then, of course, we need to increase production. Production is key. Let me speak specifically to Nigeria. Nigeria is endowed with enormous commodities. We are almost the largest producer of shea, producer of hibiscus. We are the top 10, we are top 5 in terms of cocoa, in cashew, in sensitive. But again, in terms of volume, is he able to take care of food security and then export? We can do better. So another strategy is to increase production, and with that, we need to support the farmers. We need to support the farmers and the players in the grassroots. So these are some of the things that we need to do to ensure that, and then of course, market intelligence and market research is also very important, so that they're able to understand the demand, what is demanded in various countries, what are the specifications, what are the requirements, what are the non-tariff barriers, what are the tariff barriers, what are the logistic issues, how do they surmount those challenges to be able to enlist themselves in the regional trade.
Thank you very much. Please, let's limit our answers to 4 minutes. You have timer in front I still show you one.
Talking about manufacturing, this question goes to Mrs. Oye. How is the Nigerian Export Promotion Council helping the people move from just from creating, producing, into because it's a whole process when they produce, knowing that they cannot export what they just produced, they have to manufacture into byproducts and all of that. How is the Export Promotion Council helping them in that regard?
Thank you once again. The first part is cluster formation. One of the honorable members was speaking about how do we get to the grassroots, and that is very critical. So Nigerian Export Promotion Council have realized that majority of the exporters are on the lower end, and they are the MSMEs, and they don't have the capacity either in terms of finance or in terms of the technical skills that they need. So we need to get them in clusters, and as we get them in clusters, we begin to have common facilities. Common facility centers will help them to bring, and then working with the development partners. We are in partnership with ICT, we are in partnership with PIC. We're able to bring capacity, train them on how to build, to add value to their products, to bring the facility actually on share that are 10 to 4,000 units, and they're able to add value from normal just share not to that. We also have what we call ESA, Export Skills Acquisition Center. That's a center where they're teaching women how to produce the clothes and wearing, the bags and wearing, and others. We also developing capacities in common facilities center with regard to science. We're working on that in Kano with some other partners. So these are the areas we are doing for the MSME. Then for the larger exporters, we have advocating for them, we've been working with them, and that's why we're seeing an increase in the level of consignment historically. If you look at the volume of non-export for 2025, the amount of the quantity that came as value-added product was 50%, an increase from 48 that it was previously. So we are doing that, working with both the large exporters and the MSMEs, working with our development partners, creating the awareness that the only way you can access more value or get premium pricing from global markets is to access, and we are seeing massive increase in that area. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Ms. Oye, for that. Still on focus point, private sector SMEs, women and youth participation in real estate trade. This focus point goes to Mrs. Chika Hadi, Economic Affairs and Finance Officer, Federation of West African Chambers of Commerce and Industry. What collaborative initiatives are chambers of commerce implement to support women and youth-led businesses in accessing regional markets under the SFTA?
Thank you very much for that question. Honorable Speaker, members of this honorable parliament, it is my honor to stand or to sit rather before you, representing the CEO and Executive Director of the Federation of West African Chambers of Commerce. And I sincerely appreciate this discussion that we're having today, looking at how we can, deepen the regional integrations within your CFTA. And then going down to the question that you asked, for us at Fewasi, it's not a thing of how can, but it's a matter of how we do it. Because over time, based on the success stories that we've also had, we've seen that based on the collaborative initiatives that we've had with other institutions, there has been success stories, there has been impact. Let me also give you the background of what Fewasi does. Fewasi, like I said, is the Federation of West African Chambers of Commerce, and we were established in 1972, having also the observer status at Ecowas, and also at the African Union. And part of the things that we also do is that we have a focus also on the women and the youth. And as a youthful person who is standing before us today, permit me if I speak a little bit with much more passion because I'm a youthful lady. And so it's passionate to look at how collaborative efforts of chambers of commerce, to include the women is actually essential. And so at Rwanda, we understand that women and youth are actually major players in the economy of any region. It's actually overflowed in the meeting today how that the women, the youth, and also the SMEs are actually important in every region. And we also look at the statistics as presented by our brother here from the state directorate. And then we see that if AFCFTA doesn't work for the women, if it doesn't work for the youth, then it's more or less like AFCFTA will not work for Africa. Because we already know by population that the women and the youth are major players in this. And so it is in view of this that we have in the past collaborated with UNECA, the United Nations Economic Commission for Africa and the EU, and we co-organized a particular meeting that majored in AFCFTA sensitization. And then we saw that over 100 women out of that meeting left with impact. They were able to, understand much more the rules of origin and also access to finance and other things that AFCFTA actually presents to us. And then we see that out of that meeting, these women actually were able to lead with practical solutions and practical ways to maximize AFCFTA. And so it is in view of this that we know that it's important that the engagement should move beyond just policy, but actually into actual transactions. These experiences just help us to know one thing that is clear. The inclusion of the women, inclusion of the youth actually requires structure. And it is collaboration with people, collaboration with Ecowas, collaboration with national and institutional organizations that can help us to produce measurable outcomes. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. I have one more question for you, follow-up question, just so can you pinpoint 5 collaborations that you have actually done, implemented, and seen results? Can you just give us 5 collaborations that you've done?
Thank you so much. One of the collaborations that I had mentioned just now is the one that we actually had with UNECA, and then we actually had co-organized this also with the EU. And then, like I said, we had about 100 women and youth that were included in that particular meeting, and we had to speak about AFCFTA and how they can actually maximize it. Another collaboration that we had also, of course, is with Ecowas. We actually do that from time to time because our office is also in the Ecowas building, and that's to show how much collaboration and how much efforts that we put together with the community as the private sector of West African region. And we also had concluded a meeting at the last quarter of last year where we also had reached out to men were also included, but a lot of women, even in the informal sector, were there. And we're able to really look at the bottlenecks that they usually face while they are trading. And it's usually out of those meetings that we come up with policy advocacy to ensure that the business, bottlenecks that we face are actually just not constraints that we hear, but an advocacy that can come out of those kind of conversations. We also have had collaborations with the West East Africa Trade Mission, and then we saw SME linkages. You would actually check and you'll see that
for want of time, we also had collaboration also with ITC, and then we had done an analytical research work to really go down to the grassroots women and the youth and also men to see what exactly they would need, the region to actually provide for them to ensure that business is smoother and then the region actually advances as much as it should. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Ms. Kalu, for that. Ms. Deborah, this will come to you, the finance people. She is the finance manager of West Africa Tax Administration Forum. Focus point: addressing non-tariff barriers, trade facilitation, and logistics constraints. From a tax administration perspective, how can harmonized tax policies across West Africa reduce non-tariff barriers and facilitate smoother inter-regional trade under the AFCFTA?
Thank you so much. The Right Honorable Speaker and the distinguished honorable members, I want to really thank you for this wonderful opportunity to be before you, just to share our contribution regarding the challenges that borders and non-tariff barriers. So first of all, I want to make a clear point, one very clear point, that many of the non-tariff barriers traders are facing today are not created by tariffs. They are created by inconsistencies in our tax laws and procedures. So if the processes, tax policies are not harmonized, there is no way we will have reduction in tax barriers. I want to say something clearly, that if AFCFTA reduces tariff up to like zero, trade will continue to be slow. Trade will be cost effective, and there will still be inconsistencies. So the solution to how we can address this situation, like one of the honorable members mentioned in the course of their deliberations, was that we must have harmonized tax policies. Because if this is not addressed, there will be the case of double taxation as regards VAT. Because if VAT is treated differently from one country to another, definitely there will be room for double taxation. You're taxed for export and also tax for import. So there is that challenge of double taxation. Then we have another issue that speaks to the excise taxes. They vary widely across the various member states. So this can also incentivize smuggling, because when a country, let's say a businessman sees that, okay, in this particular country, I can actually purchase goods at a very low price. He purchase at a low price, and then he knows that he can sell that product in another country at a high price. He will want to buy it at that low price and move to the other country with a high price so that he can gain profit out of that transaction. So it's important that these policies are harmonized, and also the documentation process. Most times there is this inconsistency. So if we don't have a better way of harmonizing these things together, there is no way we can reduce non-tariff barriers. Trade will always have that challenge of costing, as in lots of living costs will still be there, and then we have the issue of confusion about the documentations that are acceptable at the borders. So I want to just summarize by saying that from WATA's perspective, harmonized tax policies will only reduce non-tariff barriers by enhancing predictability, it will simplify compliance, improve administrative cooperation, and supporting revenue sustainability. So how can we achieve this? Is through technical assistance. WATAF as an organization, we promote or we provide platforms through which tax administrations can collaborate so that we can have efficient tax administration. So it is important for WATAF when it comes to how we can support so that this harmonization of our tax policies can take place. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Ms. Deborah. Just a follow-up question, and we have 2 minutes for this, please. You mentioned about trade being slow as a result of tax. So are you saying that if the tax are pulled off completely, that trade will be faster? Can you just give us an explanation of that? Because you said trades are slow because of the tax, even tax are reduced to 0. It will still be so. Give us more insight on that for just 2 minutes, please. Thank you.
Okay, so in the course of my presentation, I made mention that if we have a system that is not synchronized, where people have better understanding of the kind of documents that are supposed to be presented at the borders, we will still face this challenge of not trading or moving their products from one destination to another. Yeah. So and then we also have the issue of what's it called again? The confusion as to the kind of documentation that I mentioned, and then the issue of VAT refunds, because their monies are tied. Most times they wait for long periods to submit, to get those refunds so that they can plow it back into their businesses. It can hinder trade, like I said. So that's why I said it will be slow, because those monies that they should ordinarily get back as refund is not gotten at the shortest possible time so that they can plow it back into their business. So it's a challenge. So definitely it will affect trade. So I guess if that answers your question, thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Deborah. So I'm a prominent businesswoman and member of Federation of Businesswomen Enterprise. Focus point, private sector, SMEs, women and youth participation in the AFCFTA trade. Drawing from your organization's experience, what specific challenges do women entrepreneurs face in participating in the AFCFTA trade? And what policy recommendations would you propose to address them?
Hello. Good afternoon, Madam Speaker, honorable members of the Ecowas Parliament, ladies and gentlemen, and members of the press. I'm a representative of Ecowas February, which is founded by the Ecowas Commission and launched in Ghana in 2009. February means Federation of Business Women Entrepreneurs, and it is to work for the advancement of women entrepreneurs in the Ecowas region. To answer the question, women entrepreneurs in Africa face significant challenges participating in AFTA trade, including limited access to finance, trade-related information, and productive resources. Traditional London frameworks often exclude women due to high collateral requirements, and they often lack knowledge and resources to protect their intellectual property and public-private partnerships. They can enhance digital trade to ensure digital framework, support women and youth in trade, facilitating access to digital trade platforms and solutions. They can go into capacity building. They can provide educational and training programs to improve technical capacity and compliance with regulatory requirements. Ecowas can also promote participation in formal trade by simplifying documentation procedures and promote participation in formal cross-border trade. They can also address gender-based constraints. They can remove gender-based constraints in the agri-food sector and challenge discriminatory social, cultural, norms. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Ms. Florida, for that. I have a follow-up question concerning the private sector, SMEs, women, and youth participation in the FCFTA trade. How can network like yours, like your federation, Federation of the Women, Business Women Enterprise, how can your federation empower women-owned SMEs to engage in cross-border trade and also benefit from the AFCFTA opportunities within the region? Because it's one thing to do what you're doing, it's a different thing to also see how you can open up access to them and also empower them. So how can your federation empower women and youth to benefit from the AFCFTA opportunities within the region? Thank you.
Thank you. Networks like Ecowas February can empower women-owned SMEs to engage in cross-border trade and benefit from after opportunities by providing access to information, share trade-related information, market intelligence, and after updates to help women navigate regional trade. In capacity building, we offer training on trade compliance, logistics, and digital tools to overcome non-tariff barriers. In advocacy, we push for simplified regulatory processes and removal of barriers that disproportionately affect female traders. We facilitate partnership by connecting women-led businesses with regional buyers, suppliers, and logistics providers. Women-led enterprises like Ecowas February can play a key role in advocating for change by documenting challenges, track and share data on non-tariff barriers impacting female traders. We collaborate with policy makers, engage with Ecowas to push for gender-responsive trade policies, and we build alliances. Alliances and partnering is one of the key things that we do. We partner with other business networks to amplify the voices of the women in trade. Thank you.
Thank you so much for that, Ms. Aruba Florida. We move on to the next panelist, and focus point is still addressing So we'll go to the youth now. Like we've heard in this parliament today, that the youth are the leaders of today. So we also want to hear from a youth entrepreneur, Ms. Edith Newman Amadi. Focus point is the private sector, SMEs, women, and youth participation in the AFCFTA trade. Representing youth perspectives, what opportunities does the AFCFTA offer for young entrepreneurs in Ecowas? And how can youth associations mobilize them to overcome participation barriers? Looking at the barriers across the Ecowas region, what are the opportunities that the AFCFTA offer the young entrepreneurs we have within the Ecowas region?
Good afternoon, Madam Speaker, distinguished members of the Parliament, fellow panelists and stakeholders. I'm humbled to be participating in the Ecowas Parliament today. From a youth perspective, the success of African continental free trade area is closely tied to the young people who makes up a majority of the African population. The African continental free trade nation presents a major opportunity for youth to participate in meaningfully regional and continental free trade. On the opportunities for youth entrepreneurs, AFCFTA allow young entrepreneurs to move beyond the small nation markets into a single African market over 1 billion people. It creates space for youth-led business in digital trade, e-commerce, creative industry, professional service, and technology-based solutions. Young people can now export skills services such as software development, media, consulting and innovation across borders with fewer restrictions. However, access remains a challenge. This is where the youth association becomes important. Youth group can help by simplifying youth information, creating AFCFTA clubs and hub in university and innovation center, and organizing young entrepreneurs into cooperatives. This collective structure reduces the cost for logistics, certification, and marketing, while also strengthening youth advocacy, especially around policy focus on women and young people. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Edith, for that. I have a follow-up question on a different focus point, which is the last for this session. And the focus point is expanding regional value chains and industrial development under the AFCFTA. What innovative approaches can youth bring to expanding regional value chains, particularly in the tech-driven industrial development under the AFCFTA? What innovative approaches can the youth bring into expanding regional value chains, particularly in the tech-driven industrial development under the AFCFTA? 2 minutes, please. Thank you.
On expanding regional value chains, the young people are playing a strong role through technology. Young lead innovation is helping shift Africa away from exporting raw materials towards local processing and value addition. Especially in agriculture, technology is also improving logistics, reducing delivery costs and supporting greener industry practice. In financial transactions, youth-driven fintech solution supported by platforms like the Pan-African Payment and Settlement System, PAPS. They are making cross-border payment faster, cheaper, and less dependent on foreign currency. In conclusion, the RCSA will only achieve its full potential if the young people are essentially included. This requires clear information, supportive policy, affordable financing, and freedom of movement. Wide support from governments and institutions such as Ecowas, African youths can become leaders of intra-African trade and drivers of sustainable economic growth. Thank you.
Thank you very much for your wonderful answers and participating in this panel session. Thank you, Right Honorable Speaker, for this opportunity. I yield the mic over to the Honorable Speaker.
Merci beaucoup, Monsieur le modérateur.
Thank you very much, Moderator. Thank you, the panelists, for the quality of your presentations. Dear colleagues, you have the floor to make your comments, observations, and recommendations.
Et notre rôle à nous en tant que représentants.
I want to look at our rules as MPs is to draw the attention of our governments on the challenges and risks of policies that we make. The objective for us to do very well and not to leave anybody behind. We look into the gender and youth dimension. So I'm going to allow you to come forward with recommendations and comments. The debate, the floor is open for you to make your input. Thank you.
Complete. Alors, j'ai sur ma liste les honorables.
On the list I have Honorable Fatakante, Honorable Nasu, Honorable Shantafani, Honorable Fatuba, the Honorable Gimaritana, Honorable Maitman, Madam Babadri, and Honorable Biatin Onu.
Honorable Carlos. Honorable Carlos.
And then Honorable Carlos.
Nous ferons une liste unique
Honorable. Nous avons ajouté l'honorable Fatoumata Ba.
Added the Honorable Fatoumata Ba.
Vous avez la parole.
Honorable Secretary, hold the floor.
Pour 3 minutes.
3 minutes, please.
Madame la Présidente,
Thank you very much for giving me the floor.
je voudrais tout d'abord
I want to first of all
brave dame panéliste
congratulate these panelists for the quality and the pertinence of their interventions.
le choix de ces dames,
The choice of this lady to be in this,
de représentativité,
for this lady to be in the panel, it's not a matter of representativity, it is the recognition of the role of women in regional integration and in the implementation of AFCFTA and also in the development of intra-community trade. Coming back to the issue of the Honorable Speaker, I want to say through various interventions that we have followed
Madame la Présidente, le commerce intra
here that the intra-community trade is a very important machine for growth and creation of job in our community. But if all conditions are met to remove the obstacles that
du commerce intra
stop the development of intra-community trade and the difficulties that young people encounter in our borders, it's something we should look at. Honorable Speaker, there are a lot of challenges we had, but there's something I didn't hear. It's the multiplicity of national currency. The question I'm asking myself is to know regional currency is not going to distort intra-community development. When I take example, what's to Guinean traders who usually go to Senegal and Cote d'Ivoire and Gambia to buy goods. Meaning that we don't have the same currency. If I take the CFA franc, which is not as high as the Guinea francs that we use, because of the state of our road, because of the challenges in security, these women are compelled to go to fly to go to other countries, and we all know that the flight tickets are very expensive within our sub-region. Honorable Speaker, when you look at the cost of flight tickets and the high rate of exchange rate in some member states, that drives these women to buy things and come back to their country and sell at a exorbitant price. This issue of currency is not going to be a problem to the development of intra-community trade. Now, to fight against constant harassment and all the challenges, we should work towards harmonizing our legislations. I think that will help us to find permanent solutions to some of these problems. Thank you, Honorable Speaker. Thank you, dear colleague.
Honorable Dieu Mamadou.
Dieu Mamadou.
Merci, Madame.
Thank you, right, Honorable Speaker.
Tout d'abord,
First of all,
quand même,
I want to
qui n'est pas du tout.
commend
Ça veut dire que
the bureau here that is not
l'intelligence,
I don't have any clarity.
ce sujet est tellement important pour moi.
Honorable Speaker, this subject is very
Je suis du Nord.
key for me. I'm from the northern part of Senegal.
Je peux vous assurer que c'est les femmes et les jeunes
I'm sure that it's women and young people that currently are leading
quand je suis
the family. These young people,
pas quitter leur maison familiale, vous le connaissez. aussi bien que moi la maison familiale est importante.
You know that the family house is very important.
Utiliser ateliers des terrains.
Since
C'est grave.
I've given these women and the young people
Bâtiment.
the opportunity to work, these young people,
Dire des joyaux.
they have really built their houses by themselves. The first issue here is that in Africa,
La création d'entreprises.
the creation of companies in America, for example, in a day you can create
Au Sénégal.
a company. In Africa, to create a company it's very difficult, and at times you come back, you are forced to come back to your country of origin. Another problem is the mode of funding. It's important to fight against illegal immigration. Ecowas not
Demande de financement
come up with
que l'Union européenne
a request for funding Union or the World Bank to support us.
l'autre solution
And another solution, right honorable speaker, what should we do to help these brave women and these young people
à la fois
in working in the products? We come to Senegal, we see a lot of women and young people from the north
en train de faire des explosions.
trying to have
Ici, c'est dommage, c'était l'autre point
exhibitions.
du Nord.
Madam, I'm from the north.
Je fais la frontière avec la Mauritanie.
We are bordered with Mauritania,
Et ces femmes,
and
ils ont des contraintes, surtout douanières.
they have custom constraints and immigration constraints,
Et des Mauritaniens.
while
La même chose pour le Sénégal.
on the other side, Senegal has the same problem. So what can we do to resolve some of these problems that are very sensitive to us? Thank you very much.
Merci, honorable.
Thank you, honorable.
Izunasu.
Honorable Izunasu, you have the floor.
Thank you, Madam Speaker, and my honorable colleagues. I'd like to center my contributions on the activities of Nigeria Export Promotion Council. Nigeria Export Promotion Council in the preceding year have done very well. They have broken a 50-year record of achieving about $6.1 billion export, which is about 11%. And they have also diversified a lot in terms of non-oil product facilitation in 2025, which is about 281 products or thereabout. But I have a few questions boggling my mind. Number one is the inefficient implementation of export incentives. I see that most times the struggle to meet up the export incentives. And from the account given by the presenter, she said that I have done promoted business within 11 Ecowas countries and about 25 other countries in Africa, making it about 36 countries. But the struggle to meet up the implementation, the incentive of the export. Now, what I have as a major concern is that this sector, particularly the export sector, non-oil, is over-regulated. There are several agencies of government regulating them. Ministry of Trade, Ministry of Finance, Ministry of Interior, and thereby most times having policy somersault, which will not help them to expand as much as they would like to do. Now, we also have the issue of underdevelopment of the regional and sub-regional market. The regional market and sub-regional markets are not quite developed. And because they are not quite developed, how do we reach out? Because we are playing a pivotal role for after to be a reality. The role of Nigeria Export Promotion Council is very pivotal because of the volume of export coming from the country. So now that most of those markets are underdeveloped within the region and sub-region, what efforts are you going to make to ensure that you meet up to your set target? Now, what about plans to translate the after activities to the global community? Because I know that we are talking about Africa, but Africa cannot exist without the global community. So what are the plans? Now, on the issue of youth involvement in export, if you realize that African youth have about 60% of our population below the age of 25. 60% of the population below the age of 25. So you can see that all of us has to be channeled towards youth involvement in the free trade that we're talking about. And the lady that talked about the youth tried to explain it, but it is not very clear, because what are the specific efforts that are making to encourage these youths? It's not about saying that we have to engage them in software development, engage them in crafts, engage them in what are the specific plans? Because I heard that talk about putting them into cluster, but you know that the market in which where they are operating is a very small market. So how do you make them to move to bigger markets? Because these are very important issues that we have to look at, because the youth constitute more than half of our population. So they should be the major target. So I'm not satisfied with all the explanations so far given about the youth involvement in the African free trade. Thank you, Madam Speaker. Let me stop at this point.
Merci, honorable.
Thank you. Honorable Chantal Fanny, you have the floor.
Merci, Madame la Présidente.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker.
Excellence, Madame la Présidente.
Excellencies, Honorable Speaker, colleagues, and various panelists. I would like to express our reality that is not usually taken into serious consideration. We're talking about daily harassment of women and youths within the economic community of West African states. Despite the ambitions presented by AFCFT, I would like to ask some questions. These are direct questions, even though some of them have been asked earlier. I would like to come back to them because repetition is allowed when it comes to teaching or learning. Now, despite the protocol and free movement, women who are traders are faced with multiple payments and levies, as well as harassment. Because recently we were in Accra, and some persons moved from Abidjan to Accra, and they face a lot of issues at with customs service officers, and police officers, and the rest of the men uniform. We are in the free trade area. So the question is, what are we doing in order to erase all these anomalies? Secondly, what is the mechanism that exists in order to help these women and youth who are entrepreneurs to denounce these abuses without reprisal? At our level, what can we do in order to have a platform where individuals could freely express themselves, air their point of views in order to share what they face, and then these issues coming. Otherwise, we will face these issues coming. Otherwise, we will face social injustice that has no solution. Our aim is to transform this economic realities to what we
desire to have. Thank you very much, colleague. Dear colleagues, we'll give the floor to Honorable Guy Marius Simon. You have the floor, Honorable Guy Marius. Aussi longtemps que durera la nuit, for as long as we experience for as long, no matter how long we experience the night, a day dawn will come. Now, I want to give you a simple example. For Gambia, I think we have maybe less than 3 million souls in that country, but Senegal has no opportunities when it comes to poultry than Gambia, which has a little a small market, so to say.
Je donne juste cet exemple.
I'm just citing this.
Pour répéter encore une fois, le premier élément n'est pas spécifique aux jeunes et aux femmes. Regardez le commerce intracommunautaire. Il est de moins de 15%.
It accounts for less than 30%. It accounts for less than 15%. Simply because our domestic markets belong to us. These are markets that belong to other multinationals. Is it difficult to understand? Our intercommunity trade within Ecowas space accounts for less than 15%. This means our member states are markets meant for other stakeholders. That's the reason why I cited the example of SMEs that face disappearance, or in other words, they are being closed down.
Des petites et moyennes entreprises fortes.
So for us to have strong SMEs, we should embrace competitiveness. Where does this competitiveness come from? It comes from,
bien sûr,
other clients.
Les jeunes et les femmes,
there are youths and women
victimes
who are the most vulnerable victims of this situation. It means that we close our eyes.
J'ai dit ici, quelqu'un me donne un seul exemple d'un pays qui en ouvrant son marché comme ça.
This house to find out whether there is a market that is viable across the region of Africa. Look at countries like China and the UK or the Great Britain. They are bankrupted. Nobody can give you a country that has developed by opening its borders. It doesn't exist. So we need to protect our own companies. If these companies led by women and youth are not protected, they'll be erased by stakeholders that come from outside the continent and the region. Honorable Speaker, the challenges and the dangers exist. We need to stress this because when poverty is something that's all that is living, who takes care of the populations? That's the reason why I will continue to talk about this, give explanations until we come to a reasonable.
Merci beaucoup, Madame la
Thank you very much, Honorable Speaker.
Chers collègues,
dear colleagues,
députés,
Honorable MPs,
merci. Je remercie.
I would like to thank you and also thank the presenters
Madame la
and the
Présidente,
panelists.
c'est mon intervention sur le
Honorable Speaker, I want to center my intervention on challenges and opportunities of EFCFTA. It is just a contribution. We need to address challenges related to infrastructure or infrastructural development. Because for us to move our goods to areas where there are challenges when it comes to having water roads, we need to invest in this. Now, talking about bureaucratic challenges, we need to look at economic disparities. We want to ensure that SMEs are not erased by big multinationals.
Yes.
On peut citer
Talking about opportunities, we know that AFCT is not just an instrument, but it is a good instrument for transformation, particularly for entrepreneurs and investors. It is a big market and access to about 1.3 billion of consumers. I'm in support of AFCT because it is an emergence of another class. It's all about developing the regional value chain. Countries should leverage on this. For example, if a country produces cotton, it could be transformed into textile. Another country will use this textile material to make clothing materials. But we need to have real or concrete instruments in place in order to support the companies that are involved. Honorable Speaker, we must commend AFCFTA because the agribusiness has a great potential, and we also know that with the advent of fintech and the digital sector, we could facilitate payments across borders. Honorable Speaker, all this shouldn't just be on paper, but should be translated into concrete actions for the benefits of the continent and the region. Thank you, Your Honor. Honorable Wani Ismail, you have the floor.
Merci beaucoup, Madame.
Thank you very much, Honorable Speaker. I would like to first of all commend Now, I would like to center my intervention on the sustainability and transformation of public finance in West Africa. On this, I have two major concerns. The first one has to do with weakening of the traditional settings, because we know that member states really depend on customs duties. The risk here is that the revenues immediately spent, but the challenge before Ecowas or AFCTA is to ensure that we measure on the essential elements. I think one of the honorable speakers talked about, one of the honorable MPs talked about this. We're talking about the fiscal disparity among member states, because we know that all the member states
inégalement préparés à la concurrence. Broyer économiquement ces gestions de pays. Et cela, l'esprit de la CEDEAO, l'esprit de la communauté, est totalement favorable à cela. Et aussi, l'absence de mécanismes régionaux qui permettent de garantir les départements économiquement par cette
à ce niveau, le défi majeur, c'est d'éviter une intégration asymétrique. Et malheureusement, on risque d'aller vers ça. Cette intégration asymétrique,
les États les plus fragiles, malheureusement, et notre question est la suivante à travers ces décentralisations. La GLECAP et la CEDEAO préconisent pour anticiper toutes ces décentralisations.
Merci, madame. Je vais revenir sur le premier intervenant. C'est notamment ce que vous avez voulu soulever. Pourtant, vous avez levé la main. Madame la Présidente, notamment sur le renforcement des compétences des femmes, à venir et je souhaite apporter des observations. Il a été mentionné le premier intervenant et l'une des panélistes sur l'orientation des femmes, l'utilisation du WhatsApp et la plateforme Facebook. Et je m'interroge toutefois la pertinence ce type d'action dans le développement des chaînes de valeur. À la présidente, des leviers sur lesquels nous pouvons sur notamment le développement des chaînes de valeur en passant de la production jusqu'à la commercialisation. Nous ne touchons pas toute la chaîne,
But looking at the marketing, for example, for some of the member states, for example, when women produce agricultural products, they are expected to store these products, which is a big challenge. And we all know that. We observe that in our communities, particularly due to the lack of adequate facilities for storage. It is important for us to have a constant support, or give a consistent support to women in this sector. My second intervention has to do with mainly the fourth component mentioned by the first panelist. Could you mention some of the activities that have been envisaged under this sub components, which has to do with creation of what it takes to move from the informal sector to this formal sector. Honorable Blessing, only you have the floor.
Thank you again, Madam Speaker. While congratulating the panelists,
such an area will benefit from the opportunities. It's not just having the big companies that will take advantage. Another question is how can we prepare the youth and women for them to be competitive at the regional level, particularly when you see that they barely survive in their communities. Lastly, and I know that we have the presence of women here, we talk about the regional trade. The question is, what are the states doing in order to help the women and the youth, particularly when we want to maintain the status quo? Thank you. Thank you, Honorable Fatima Tabahu, you have the floor.
Merci, Madame.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker, for giving me the floor.
Merci, Grand Moderateur.
Thank you to our moderator for facilitating the various exchanges. Congratulations to our brave ladies for the relevance of their various interventions. In their interventions, I think I followed and I understand that there are some institutions established to support women and youth in terms of training and access to credit. I want to understand, since this system has been put in place, the women who have been benefited, women and youth who have benefited from this program, have their lives been improved upon? Have they been able to be part of the intra-trade, for example, between Nigeria and Togo? That's the first question. The second question is to come back to the intervention made by Honorable Gimadus on the protection of local companies or SMEs. Today we are faced with counterfeits. For example, if you look at the case of our country, Guinea, there are women who produce wrappers, local wrappers, but there are a lot of counterfeits in the markets. So I'm talking about Chinese who present the counterfeits. They are really invaded our country. Women do their best. They invest in their money, but there are Chinese companies that present textile materials that are of less qualities. They are substandard products. Women are faced with this difficulty. So the question I want to ask on this is the community, is the community going to take measures in order to put an end to this? Because these are really issues faced by these small companies. Thank you very much, Honorable Speaker. Thank you very much, Honorable Speaker, Honorable colleague. I want to give the floor to the moderator to organize answers that will be provided by the various panelists. Speaker. So we'll take the answers from the first panelist down to the end, so from the Nigeria Export Promotion Council.
Okay, thank you once again. Let me start by answering some of the questions, not in any particular order, but I think they are all related. I will say that, first of all, we have what we call the Ecowas Trade Promotion Organization Network. That's Ecowas TPO Network. And it was set up in 2021 to make sure that we have all the export promotion organizations of different countries within the Ecowas sub-region
to coordinate the activities of trade, and incidentally, Nigerian Export Promotion Council is a permanent secretariat. I think the first thing to do in order to develop the regional market is to strengthen that Ecowas TPO network. It's already there, but we need to begin to move from dialogue to real structured implementation of the activities. As we speak now, various trade promotion organizations in different countries, NEPC in Nigeria, we have DEPA in Ghana and others, we are working in silos. So our suggestion is for us to strengthen that TPO network so that we stop working in silos. We need to begin to create a synergy, a powerful synergy that will be able to help develop the regional market, synergy in terms of market intelligence, in the sense that we can, as a region, have a structured market intelligence platform that speaks to all the countries, highlighting what is demanded in each country, highlighting the pricing and the tariff issues, the logistic issues. So at one go, real-time online, the exporters in various countries will be able to have access to information. A lot of exporters at the MSMEs level, like the Honorable Member spoke, fail not because they don't know what to do, but because they lack information. I think that's number one. Number two, we can work together to build capacity building across the region. But together we can do great things. Together we can form a powerful hub in AFCFTA. Like I said, MEPC is the permanent secretariat. Last year we hosted the East African counterpart, and they came to learn what we're doing. So we already have a network. We can also work together in terms of creating market access and market linkages across West African countries. We can do common trade fairs. We can have the same, maybe when we go for trade fairs, we can have one single booth where all the exporters can come together. And the good thing is that we create an integrated value chain. You see a situation where Nigeria will export to maybe Asia or America, and then another country will now bring the same product in just light manufacturing back to maybe a country next door. So there's need for us to have collaboration in that regard. Thank you very much. And then, I don't know whether I have more time, we talked about women. We have what we call the Women Exporters in Digital Economy. We have Nigerian Export Promotion Council, is one of the BSOs. And we have in that, we're able to gather 67,000 women, and we picked 146 women working with ITC, that the right secretariat and WTO, and they are funding them minimum of $5,000 and $30,000, and beyond capacity building, because they are also training them. So there's a lot that has been done, a lot is happening, and I believe that working together with different stakeholders and different development partners, we are going to move women from where they are to where to become competitive in the regional, not just regional trade, but in the global trade. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Please, let's limit our answers to 3 minutes. We have 3 minutes for answers. So the next panelist, please.
Okay. Thank you once again, honorable members. I don't think I have any specific question regarding what we can do as tax administrations in order to strengthen our tax policies within the region, and how it can also facilitate free movement of goods and services. But I want to maybe add something to what one of the honorable members asked as to how the youth are being brought into the picture, how they are being included in whatever the AFCFTA has to offer. So I want to say that in order for us to encourage participation, from the tax administration point of view, we need to say the objective should not only be to reduce tax. Most times, because we want to encourage youth participation in terms of trading, we want to reduce tax. So, but it should not only be on reduction, reduced taxation or tax holidays, but we can design targeted, time-bound and performance-based incentives that lower entry barriers into cross-border without eroding the tax base. And also we can simplify our tax regimes that are essential for SMEs and small-scale cross-border traders. So many small businesses, particularly women-led enterprises, they operate informally due to complex compliance requirements, and then we have the challenge of how they can be part of the big organizations or businesses that are operating in that space. So what we are saying as tax administration is we should encourage this particular group of people, the harmonizing regional and linked and the regimes to AFCFTA participation, the lower administrative burdens, and also building the tax base over time. Secondly is the incentives should be conditional on performance driven, like I mentioned earlier, so that, let me give an example. So when we have temporary tax credits or reduced corporate income tax rates, it could be granted to SMEs that demonstrate export activity within AFCFTA region or markets. Similarly, those SMEs that are particularly let's say their products are in digital infrastructures, the government can also provide opportunities like depreciation, lower depreciation for those people who are really investing in those digital ICT facilities. So it's also another way we can bring them into the picture. I know I don't have much time. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much. Mrs. Orulu, Florida, over to you, please.
So, I don't think I have a particular question directed at me, but from what I've gathered from what the honorables have said and the preferred solution sort of, I think I need to add my own voice to women-owned SMEs in West Africa and what they often struggle with, which is the NTB non-tariff barriers, like complex custom procedures, lack of trade, finance, and limited access to logistics networks. They also face challenges proving compliance with regulations, which can be a major hurdle, like limited access to finance. Cross-border trade requires upfront liquidity, which many women-owned firms lack. And complex customs procedures, lengthy processes, and lack of transparency, which leads to delay and costs. Information gap. Women entrepreneurs often lack, clear guidance on export standards and market, entry. Logistics and transportation. High cost of inefficiencies hinder competitiveness. And gender-specific challenges, which has been really strong in the what we've been discussing this afternoon. There's harassment, verbal violence, and sexual abuse at borders, which the Ecowas Commission needs to provide solution to. Thank you so much. Thank you.
Thank you, Mrs. Orulu. Ms. Okachika.
Thank you so much, Madam Speaker and honorable members of this Parliament. I don't think any particular question was directed at me, but I'd like to add my voice to what one of the honorable speakers had spoken on Honorable Fatuba, if I'm not mistaken. I mean, she had highlighted the need for regional value chains and how it can be expanded. And I would just like to add my voice to that because she had highlighted the example for textile, and then take for instance cocoa. The West African region are actually people who, we have a lot of cocoa in the land, but then you see that many times the exploitation goes beyond our region. And so I would like to bring to this parliament, if it's possible, for us to, advocate and bring up policies that would help in the expansion of regional value chains so that the wealth remains within. Okay? And then the next thing I would like to add, is to respectfully invite the parliament to three things: to advocate for gender-responsive AFCFTA implementation legislation, to encourage member states to simplify custom procedures. This should actually help us, to ensure that this trade that we're talking about moves beyond just the country, but then it moves within the region and it's easier to trade across the region. And then to also promote SME financial reforms. A lot of SMEs need funds, and if we can increase access to finances for each of these SMEs, we know that SMEs are actually the engine of every economy, and so it's important that we focus on that. And in line with all of this, I would like to mention to us that we know that AFCFTA is actually the most ambitious economic project in the modern African history. But then it's important for us to know that these arguments that we come together to discuss about, they're not the things that it's actually businesses that trade, it's SMEs that trade, it is youths that actually innovate. And so the more we actually look into each of this, the more it helps into the parliament that the Federation of West African Chambers of Commerce for WASI reaffirms readiness to work to collaborate with the parliament and to ensure that all of the objectives that has been discussed today, that we are actually open to see that they are all achieved. Ecowas and ASTA, I can sell the same deals to the same place of Ghana, Senegal or Cote d'Ivoire without heavy traffics. This means small customer, no sales and no profits. So if you use social training and export rules and help me access funding, I can sell my business from a small shop to a regional brand. That is how FCTA can transform small businesses into big businesses. And then also policy support SMEs. There is a need for targeted and flexible policy. Without this, small business may struggle to compete with larger companies. Government should support youth-led SMEs through dedication, youth trade funds, low interest financing, and partial guarantee for export activities. Public procurement policy should also reserve a portion of regional contract for youth-led enterprises. In addition, certification and standard process must be simplified and subsidized to allow young business to trade legally and competitively across borders. A youth-friendly business or regional trade pass within Ecowas would further improve mobility for market research and partnership. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Edith, for that. I'm just we can go further. Thank you very much. I yield the mic.
Merci beaucoup, monsieur le modérateur.
Thank you, dear moderator.
Merci arrivé au terme de ces 15 jours
We've come
de réflexion.
to the end of the 3 days of reflections and thoughts.
Honorable Fanta Conté.
Honorable Fanta Conté.
Non, je voulais juste signaler que...
No, just to say that you forgot the first panelist. You forgot the first panelist. Sorry.
Vous avez la parole.
The panelist, you have the floor, please.
Thank you very much, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, permit me to express sincere optimism to honorable members, and it stems from the passion with which they reacted to the first presentation, the depth of knowledge and insight that they shared on the subject matter. And it gives hope that together we can move our region farther than where it is now. It gives hope that when you go back home, you help champion the cause of women and youth for increased intra-regional trade and also better take advantage of the ANCFTA that our leaders have signed. Indeed, we need your help. All our member states have signed the agreement. We need to move together. If our people are supposed to benefit from this agreement, it is important that we move together. We are urging that in Benin to support the ratification process so that as a region we will have 100% ratification, because it has implication on our CET entire system when it comes to trading. So we urge you. That said, I think that there's a lot that we're doing at the but we've not done so well communicating it down to our member states and even to the rest of the world. So it's something we need to do better at. Intra-regional trade, for example, is quoted around 14, 15 if we decide to be modest. But the actual fact is it's larger than that, because the informal sector is not accounted for when we are quoting these figures. And so it makes a few, yes, there's still room for improvement, but there is certainly a lot we are already doing. So we urge you, as a region at the Commission level, we have adopted the Informal Trade Regularization Support Program, developed a methodology for capturing data when it comes to informal cross-border trade. And we need that to inform policies and decisions. So we urge you, please, when we go back, support the National Statistics Offices, support the Ministries of Trade, so that we are urging that every member state should have a pilot exercise by the end of 2026, so that we have a feel of the actual size of our informal sector. In addition, when it comes to agric, we know, and the presentation showed, that 60% of the things we trade informally are food products and agri-based. Under the cabinet, every country is supposed to commit 10% of the annual budget towards agriculture. How are we doing that back home? If we are not doing that, then it means that we are shortchanging ourselves in the sector, and we don't have enough resources to support our economy. If we talk about value addition, if we talk about being creative, if we talk about industrialization, we need all these commitments to that sector to help drive them. So please help champion the cause and help sell Ecowas. Recently, we had the honor of conducting a sensitization exercise, Abidjan, all the way to Lagos. Prior to that, we had the opportunity of conducting similar exercise from Accra all the way to Ouagadougou. Interacting with our women and youth who are involved in small-scale cross-border trade. And it will interest you to know some didn't even know what Ecowas is about. And so together we have a lot of work to do. So let's do them together. Now that everything that I've been saying, take note, because it's coming from you, our people who really matter, and we have our citizens at heart. So we will go back and see how we can put all these things to work for our people and our citizens of this community. Let me add that there are things we have put in place, like the trade obstacle alert mechanism, which is supposed to allow our women traders and our youth, as they move across our corridors, when they have challenges, report them through the obstacle alert mechanism, and let's see how we can address them. So we need to encourage them to use these. We have established and adopted a regional and harmonize and coordinate our efforts so that we can better benefit from it. We need you, please, when we go back to support your